Hey everyone, welcome aboard. Today I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado. I am on my way to Ohio on the bike, doing a little road trip. See the parents, some family, see some friends. And I decided to make a stop off at the new Belgium brewery, home of Fat Tire, my favorite beer. So, try to get some footage from inside. I'm going to take the tour. Meanwhile, we'll look around the outside of the grounds here. Fat Tire bike. If you're employed here, I believe it's after your first year of employment, you get a bike. Each year the design is different. But yeah, you get a bike on your anniversary. I believe it's 1 year. At least that's what it was a couple years back when I looked into it. A play area for the kids. Everyone's sitting around enjoying the sun. Did about 700 miles today on the bike. Left at 3 in the morning. And I got here about 3:30. Would have been here by probably 1:30. But there was an accident on I-80 just west of Salt Lake. They held me up 2 hours. I had plans to stop at a few other places here in town, but I came direct here. Already had a couple beers. That's why I'm slurring a little bit. But my hotel is just down the street. New Belgium brewery. And a little gift shop inside. And all their beers. They actually got the Fat Tire right now. The Fat Tire right now that the owner originally invented back in 1988 in his basement. So that's what I've been drinking. I think it's pretty good. The recipe changed in 1991 when he went national and started the brewery. So it was kind of neat to try that. Let's look around inside here. All kinds of swag. They carry teas now. I've tried them already. They're pretty good. Cool little table. There you go, right there. So my tour is going to be starting here in about 5-10 minutes, and hopefully I'll get some footage then. And I'll get back to you. Adults?
Sitting areas. I'm going to pour you a sour beer for you to kind of sip on, and we'll talk about what's going on here. This is, as I said, the prettiest room in the place. I mean, that top was pretty. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, the heat alone made it a little harder to enjoy. But this room is really cool. This is our new one. This is our kind of little novelty. So we are calling New Belgium. We started off by brewing Belgian beer. Now, Voodoo Ranger is our #1 selling beer by far. Now, Voodoo Ranger as a brand, #1 selling IPA brand in the country.
So good.
It's fantastic. Voodoo Ranger Juice Force is #1 selling IPA by far in the country. I believe it's #1 selling in the world. We don't have a stat on that. It's funny, I was even Googling it before this because I was telling somebody about this. We don't really have a stat on that, but nobody drinks IPAs like Americans do. So I would assume #1 in the world. If nothing else, by far #1 in the country. IPAs, not Belgian at all. We've had to adapt, we've had to start brewing other beers, but we started off by brewing all Belgian style beers. That's again where we get our name. One thing about the Belgians is that they are more or less the ones who invented sour beer. So most of Europe, that's why I have Europeans on the tour all the time, if they're not Belgian, they hate this room. They hate the entire idea of sour beer. Because most of Europe has been trying to kill sour beer for centuries, because all beer was sour. For most of human history, all beer was sour. All sour beer is it's beer that's been exposed to bacteria. Bacteria eat whatever sugars left over in that beer, and they give off acid, lactic acid. That acid is what's making it sour. So for most of human history, we didn't know what the hell a bacteria was. And so there was no way to really keep it out. You know, we did certain things. It's not like all of our beer went bad, but we didn't necessarily know exactly what was happening. So you had a little bit of bacteria in all your beers. So 500 years ago, even if you had like a British pale ale, it would have been slightly sour. So most of Europe is like, we hate this, trying desperately to get rid of the sour. The Belgians, they embrace it. They're like, oh, we love this. Let's make it more sour. We're going to do it the right way. So if you were to take any beer, pour it, and leave it on your counter for 3 days, it's going to become sour. Don't do it. It'll make you very sick. It'll taste awful. And what's making it sour is any of the bacteria in the air, particularly bad bacteria, can be landing in there. They're turning it sour, but they're also giving these other flavors. What the Belgians have done, what we do here, is we're taking good bacteria. So probiotics, the same bacteria that you're finding in yogurt, the same bacteria that you have in your gut. We're actually using those bacteria in here. To do the same process, we are essentially spoiling the beer the same way that it spoils naturally. We're just doing it in a healthy way. And that's why it's going to be a little like good for you and not going to be perfect. So what we do is we have these giant wood barrels. They're all called fooders. Fooders are old wine barrels. So winery wines are because they're being old. When you take wine and you age it in oak, what happens is it strips the flavors of that wood into the wine itself, giving you these woody and vanilla flavors. Because it strips those flavors out, they can only use these about 3 times. At the end of that, there's no more flavor left. And so they just basically throw these out, and we collect them. We don't care about the flavor. So like I said, this isn't quite a barrel-aged beer. Yes, they're giant barrels. I know that. But when you think barrel-aged beer, you're thinking of whatever flavor in the wood. So either whatever alcohol is in there, like a bourbon barrel-aged stout, or if you want like an oak-aged, whatever. Here we're not getting much flavor out of it. All we care about is it's made of wood, because wood has a grain. So what we do is we take that bacteria, those probiotics, we throw it in with vintage beer, and it lives inside the grain of this wood. So it's living like an inch deep in that wood. As it's living there, it's eating all those sugars, giving off lactic acid. Meanwhile, we have a special yeast called wild yeast, called Brettanomyces yeast. It's in there, and what it's doing is grabbing all these random compounds in there, combining them, and making new flavors. So that's where you get some of these kind of funky flavors that you have. But yeah, so most sours on the market, so like I said, we brewed the first sour in this country in 1998. These are the 2 original barrels, which we are still using. We can use these essentially indefinitely, as long as they don't break down. We can use these same barrels over and over again. But the way that we do it, this wood aging, takes about 3 to 24 months to do. It's a very long process, and it takes a long time for these things to do. Most sours on the market are quick sours and cut sours. They're done in steel. And because they're done in steel, there's nowhere for the bacteria to live, so it's basically floating around, meaning that it can actually do it much faster. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks. It just doesn't have quite a complex flavor to it. So you can cover almost all sour beer with a juice, with a puree or an extract to make it kind of fruity. So you have this really nice base and you add juice to it. The beer I'm going to pour you first here, La Folie, no juice added whatsoever. So you're going to be getting a lot of fruity flavors. All those fruity flavors are what that yeast is providing. It's kind of creating. Do you have any questions? It's going to be a different design every year, so you know when someone's hired based on what bike they're riding around town. So these are all previous years of those bikes. He was just saying he wanted to win one.